Good morning, everyone. Academician, Professor Emeritus, Tan Sri Dato Dr. Augustine Ong. Academician, Tan Sri Dr. Saleh Mohammad Noor, I believe is on his way. Dr. Ahmad Ibrahim, Chief Executive Officer of Academy Science Malaysia. Dr. Zainal Abidin, Muhammad Yusuf, Acting President and Chief Executive, SIRIM Berhad. Distinguished Fellows, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your presence here this morning. You saw it was a wake-up call, but some of us are still sleeping. I think it's a bit early for a lecture like this, getting through the traffic and coming here. But I must first of all begin by thanking Dr. Ahmad Ibrahim. He has been a live wire. I've never been on television before. They've taken videos of me at marriages, but he was hello too. I was forced to be on there. And anyway, there was a bit of a message about this talk. Thank you, Tan Sri, for your warm words of introduction. Now, Tan Sri is a doyen among scientists in Malaysia, and when he said he left before I came to UM, but he's left his footprints there. We all could see which was his lab, and my room was just opposite his lab. So some vibrations, actually, I must have imbibed some. My lecture here will be, the title is this, an under-exploited resource in national wealth creation. It will be in two parts, but it will be seamless without intermission. The first part, I'll outline some measures which I hope the economic stars in the country to transform the tin industry in a manner that would economic growth. In part, I intend to emphasize, is it clear? I intend to emphasize the versatility of tin, the green credentials of tin, drawing also personal intimacy with it in research. Now, it is going to be somewhat technical, the talk, that is, because ASM lectures are supposed to be technical, and this is a house of technology, SIRIM. But I shall be mindful, I shall be gentle, because there may be others in the audience who are not scientists per se, but who will come here nevertheless to listen to this talk. Many of you can recognize that. That's a tin dredge. Okay, not many of us know this, but we are sitting on an untapped $30 billion opportunity underground. I'm talking about tin mines. And we have the third largest deposit in the world. We're not even talking about offshore mining. $30 billion untapped. Why is it remaining untapped? Conventional wisdom has it there are several barriers. The first one we all know, over-reliance on tin export. Let me take my pointer. Over-reliance on tin export, price weakness and volatility, that has always happened, uneconomical mining scenarios, and government supply controls. Now, our overwhelming mindset then, and indeed now, is that we mine tin just for export. And this cost us to succumb very severely to the tin crisis of 1985. On 24th October 1985, that was a fateful day when the International Tin Agreement, one of the world's oldest commodity pacts, ran out of money to support the price of tin. And the price fell precipitously from 10,000 US dollars per ton to 4,000 US dollars. That steep descent in the tin price cost us, Malaysia, one of the world's largest tin producer then, to suffer this fate. As tin was once a pillar of our economy, and now we were flattened in 1985. And we remain unresurrected to this date. Question is now, can we reposition the tin industry and monetize this untapped wealth? The answer is a resounding yes. But how? Well, cast aside that old mentality of raw tin production for export only. And you've got to create local and regional demand by focusing on downstream products that are fast emerging and captive markets. Now let's take a step back to the tin crisis day. What could have been done differently then to avert this decline? Well, timely government stimulus measures were not in the offing. There were no organizations such modeled on Khazanah or MADEC or SCDCs then to step in. We had a tin industry R&D board, which was established in 1953 and which spawned the Tin Products Manufacturers Association. But these two organizations did not have the financial clout to project the downstream industry very vigorously. Without adequate empowerment and governmental support, nothing much could be done. Let us now look at today's situation. Now, this is characterized by low demand from our downstream activities. We have on paper the 10 solder companies. 10 solder companies, but they are mostly not producing solder, they're actually recovering solders, waste solders, from unused solder draws, solder paste, and even recycling from the circuit boards. We have one tin plate manufacturer, Perstima, which has a capacity of 200,000 tons, is also invested in Vietnam. Pewter, we have 7 of them, but this 125-year-old Royal Selangor International is the world's largest and oldest. We are proud of this, proud of Royal Selangor. Tin refiner is one, Malaysia's Smelting Corporation Berhad in Dato, Penang, capacity of 60 tons. Now it's the third largest in terms of production. It takes in a tin ore from different countries and processes it. Lately I hear Malaysia's Smelting Corporation has invested in a mine in Congo. The question may be asked, why not here? There may be reasons. Of course, the tin plate manufacturer, there are some tin can manufacturers, 30 of them, and we both prepare both the welded and the 3-piece and the 2-piece seamless cans, but there are no chemical manufacturers at all. Now if you look at this chart here, this gives the tin consumption. Just 2 points basically. Malaysia, the years are slightly different, but it doesn't matter. Malaysia produced 31,690 tons, but we consumed only 1/10 of it. World global production, 334,000, almost everything was being consumed. Number one. So we only consume 10%. Secondly, the other point is that our usage of tin is less diversified than this. We have, of course, tin plate, solder, and pewter standing out, but you have other applications here which I'll touch upon later. Now, question is, what do we do to reposition the Malaysian tin industry? The next slide, I'm going to give you some observations and some suggestions to meet this. First of all, I think it cannot be denied that there is no connectivity between the tin mining companies and tin product manufacturing firms. The synergy is not there at all. We need to promote and establish a synergistic supply chain arrangement with some price subsidies given on the levels of Malaysian tin consumed. We need to incentivize and stimulate greater downstream demand. Easily said than done, but how? We need to consider a few things, including joint private sector and government-linked companies. SEDCs are part of that group. Engage in cross-border investment, as indeed some firms have done. Malaysia Mining, Smelting, and Peristima. You need to secure foreign investor interest in areas that we don't have expertise in at the moment. Second observation, country's manufacturing industry has already come of age to take up new downstream ventures on tin or engage in tin-based application enterprises. For example, the plastics industry uses tin. So again, if you can get tin products that can go into the plastics industry, then that industry must also be encouraged to set up. Some suggestions here. Engage the SEDCs collaboratively in downstream ventures or upstream related ventures such as joint mining activities, whether it be on or offshore. Now, offshore mining is taking on a big way in Indonesia, in Thailand. Malaysia has very little off Lumut, and they use bucket suction and wheel-driven bucket dredges. It has been done. So SEDCs can engage, or other tangible business enterprises, the production of refractory bricks from the tin tailings, or amang they call it, even rare earths from amang. There is a suggestion now to extract rare earths from tin tailings. The other point is that tin, in whatever form, alloys, chemicals, etc., have emerging markets and a wide range. Tin is ubiquitous in that sense. The complaint has always been, and this is the third point, business enterprises and used mining land. Tin is a depleting industry. But then all mining industries are depleting in that sense. But what do you make of that wasted land? So there is a need to restore the mine land. There are 113,000 hectares awaiting exploitation. You can have, already some have started, commercial residential property development, theme parks, fish farming. I'm even going to suggest that the tin tailings there, that area, sandy tailings, and you don't require much fertilizer or water to grow such hardy plants such as Jatropha curious, which is a energy fuel, biofuel. You can do that. Put your mind to it. Finally, the lack of government initiatives and some outdated mining regulations. You need to provide, I'm sorry for this because it can't go down because the projector is up there. It cannot go up anymore. If you can read it, those of you who can. Provide fiscal incentives for a given period, not forever, to help the existing mining firms to recover from the present stagnation. They need help to improve the mining methods, better dredges, better ore processing, centrifuges and such like. And to encourage and incentivize the business community to start up downstream activities, tax incentives, easier access to startup capital, these things must be there. You cannot ignore all this. And establish, finally, a MADEC-like body with representation from a wide spectrum of stakeholders. You need to get all the stakeholders involved for this to be viable and kick off. All you need is a start, some initial help, then it will be self-sustaining. To give you an overview of the world scenario, these are the assured markets for tin. World will forever use tin. Much of it, 54%, goes into solders.